Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first Garnet Trust exclusive baseball interview of the 2024 season. I am joined today by transfer right-handed pitcher Drake Quinn. Drake, how we doing today, man?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. So I kind of want to go start back to where you came from, right? You pitched at Marist for 4 years, and here's a fun fact for you that I haven't even told you about yet. Both of my parents graduated from Marist
Really?
back in the day. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
so I'm very familiar with that area. I know someone else that has a parent that goes there too. So it's a small world, right? But starting with Marist, what was it like pitching? Up in New York. Just how different is it? For someone that might not know what that kind of baseball area is like.
So it's definitely a little bit different, I would say. I mean, obviously the biggest difference is the weather. Like we didn't get 70 and sunny every day, even in the fall. Especially like in the winter, you're getting 4 to 6 inches of snow like every other week. Um, and I think the biggest thing was leading up to the season, we didn't really have any opportunities to get onto the field to actually practice. We had the turf football field that we would do like infield, outfield, and on, but like regarding like scrimmages and live, it was all inside in the cages. So I think that's the biggest thing, biggest difference here is like we actually get to use the field and have full on scrimmages before games.
Did you ever have to pitch in? I mean, it's upstate New York. So did you ever have to pitch in like the snow or anything
Oh
up
yeah,
there?
I've thrown in the snow a couple times. Yeah, even pretty sure I think either last year or the year before, I threw in a hailstorm.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
It's insane. Yeah, when I saw you were transferring from Marist, I think I saw you committed back in what, July? Is that right?
yeah, late July, I think.
Yeah, and I saw the Marist attached to the name. I'm like, oh geez, a small world. So that's no man, that's really cool. But transitioning to now with South Carolina, I just wanted to ask, so what was the transfer portal process like for those who may not know? Like, when did you decide like, hey, I want to go pursue a new opportunity elsewhere with another year of eligibility remaining, and why South Carolina?
So South Carolina, obviously, big name SEC. It's one of the greatest opportunities to play at the highest level in college baseball. So that was pretty much the reason. And another reason was also I'm from the South. I grew up in High Point, North Carolina, so it was definitely nice to come back down south. And then as far as the portal, it was pretty. I mean, it was one of the craziest experiences I've been through. Starting out first day, as soon as you enter, you're getting like 10 to 15 emails from colleges all over the country. Um, and then I was in the portal for about a week and on the phone 24/7 talking to coaches. And then it came down to one of the last days before I committed to South Carolina. Monty Lee reached out to me, um, and I was up in the Cape playing summer ball, and he sent me a text and he was like, "Hey man, this is Monty Lee from South Carolina. Just wanted to know if you were interested in coming here." I was like, "I mean, of course, like definitely." So then he said, like an hour later, he told me that the deadline for grad admissions was midnight that night. So I was on the bus ride back from the game, filling out my grad school application on my phone at like 11:30 at night.
Man, that's insane. So did you end up going on like any like tours of like campus, the facility or anything beforehand or?
So it was kind of tough being all the way that far north that like it
Yeah.
wasn't really possible for me to visit. And also like as a grad student, it's a little bit different because like you're not going to be going to class. So like the classrooms and like the campus itself isn't as big of a deal, or for me at least. It really wasn't what I was worried about. It was much more like the baseball facilities and the coaching staff and like the record and all that was way more important than for me.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, obviously South Carolina's got some new coaches on staff. You got Joey Holcomb helping out with the hitters, and then obviously for you and the rest of the pitchers, I'm working with Matt Williams, who's in his going to be in his first year here at South Carolina as the pitching coach. Just can you kind of walk us through what your relationship is like with him? Did you meet him, when you were, figuring out where you're going to commit and all that, or was it like after the fact? And what is he? What have you kind of learned from him over these past few months?
So I talked to him a couple times on the phone um, before I committed, and then obviously after I committed, talking a little bit about summer ball and um, like time throwing after before I got there, like the whole kind of figured out like a plan before I got here. And then since I've been here, I definitely think that we've built a good relationship. Um, I noticed the first couple weeks he was kind of like he would kind of keep his distance and kind of watch from afar, basically, which I thought was a good thing because he kind of got to see how everybody like held themselves and like kind of had their own work ethic and what they did, um, just to get a good understanding and kind of understand each player individually before he kind of put his advice into everything. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when you did commit, who are some of the first guys from the team to reach out to you? And yeah, I mean, who are some of those guys that might have reached out to you, pitchers, hitters, whoever?
So obviously, I talk to my roommates the most. I live with Dalton Reeves and Michael Polk, so they were the first two that I kind of talked to because they were also in the same situation, transferred in and needed somewhere to live, so that worked out. Talked to Tyler Causey a lot. Um, we reached out to Ethan Petrie and asked for some advice, like on housing and stuff. Um, Trying to think of who else. Parker Nolan, obviously another transfer. So it was kind of majority of the incoming transfers.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So obviously, you've been around college baseball for a while now, playing a bunch at Marist and stuff. And South Carolina, as you are well aware, they brought in a ton of transfers for this season. Has it made it easier knowing that you're not like the only one? Like there are dozens of them, and then rooming with you know basically when you meet them, complete strangers, and they're in the same situation as you. Does that kind of make it easier for you to adjust to being in a new place and all that?
So I think I'll compare it to coming into college again as a freshman, but a little bit different. So the difference is obviously I have the experience of being a college baseball player, and I kind of know how things work as far as like a freshman has to kind of figure that stuff out. So that part obviously I already knew and understood, um, and like kind of understood how other teammates like to engage relationships at the start. So that helped, but it was definitely nerve wracking for the first. Well, like committing was a big step, and then the second step was obviously getting here and meeting everybody for the first time. Because after playing with the same guys and living with the same guys for 4 years straight, that it was definitely a big step. But I think it was the right decision for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Now, going back to the fall a little bit, your first fall practice baseball, season here at Carolina. Tell me about the toughest guy you had to face when you were on the mound.
Toughest guy. Me and Kazi had a little bit of a, um, I guess, battle throughout the fall because we were one of the first guys that I met, got really close. So like there was a lot of competition there. Dylan Brewer too, a lot of competition there. A lot of talking uh, off the field that carried on to the mound and in the scrimmages.
No, definitely, definitely. And then obviously you worked a lot closer with the pitchers. You guys have, last year with this team, it was kind of set in stone. Okay, you have your Friday starter, your Saturday starter, and your Sunday starter. Now this year, it's kind of like it's the opposite. It's like the hitting we know is, most of those guys are returning, like Messina, Petri, Casas, those guys. But and now it's the pitching that is kind of in question. Who are some guys that you feel like since the time you've got here have really made strides and could be underdog, unsung heroes that really take a step forward this season?
So are you saying like the guys that aren't talked a lot about like on
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Because I mean, there's a lot of pitchers on this staff,
yeah.
and roles are still kind of being determined right now. But from what you've seen, who's really who's really shined and who has like some really good stuff that we might not know of?
So my throwing partner throughout pretty much the entirety of the fall was Ty Good. I mean, he's been working really hard. I think he's going to play a huge role this year. Tyler Dean, obviously, I've gotten really close with him. Garrett Gainey, um, uh, Roman, obviously. Um, there's definitely some freshmen that have worked really hard and made strides for sure. Um, and then Connor McCurry has been me and him work out together a lot, so I can tell that he really wants to have a big season this season. So he's been working really hard as well.
Yeah. Now, I remember you mentioned, you pitched during the summers in one of those summer baseball leagues, right?
Yeah.
What is that experience like? Been over the years?
So summer ball is a lot of fun. It's definitely different in the fact that like during school season, there's a lot more riding on winning, obviously, um, and like you're a lot closer to teammates. But summer ball is like it's a cool opportunity to meet guys from all over the country to kind of just hear about their experiences and build relationships with them and play baseball, obviously. Uh, but I definitely think it's a different experience. It's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I was looking at some of your stats earlier. Obviously, I'm sure you could speak better to it, but probably not the type of season you wanted statistically last year. What kind of adjustments have you been trying to make over the since last season ended and the summer and all that, and now leading into this year?
So obviously, I've worked a ton with Williams about just like maintaining my body control on the mound, um, like my breaths on the mound, being super conscious of controlling my heart rate and breath on the mound as well, which I think has helped a lot in trying to, I guess, not necessarily controlling my body, but letting my body relax. Um, I think has helped me stay in the zone a lot more. And then there's been some mechanical stuff that we worked on, and then just like the day to day stuff, just being super focused on everything that I'm doing in practice, like my pre throwing routine, kind of trying to build a routine that works for me. And then we've also been doing a ton of, we call it, just blanked. What's it called? Basically, it's like ghost reps on the mound. So like you're simulating an inning on the mound without actually throwing. So you're visualizing doing your warm up throws and then like going through a full inning in your head. I think it's helped a lot with like the mindset.
How would you kind of describe yourself as a pitcher, and what kind of what are your go-to kind of pitches to throw? On the mound.
So I would definitely consider myself a physical guy in the mound. I like to get really. Sometimes it gets counterproductive, but I like to get really hype on the mound. But I developed a cutter over the fall that was pretty useful, and then obviously working on fastball shape. Um, and then over the winter, I was working a lot with my changeup. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know at Marist, you were a guy that, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of went back and forth between starting and pitching out of the bullpen and stuff. What do you prefer to do? Like, are you a guy that likes to be on like a strict schedule as a starter, or do you just want to kind of help the team and do whatever's kind of asked of you?
I think I wouldn't say I have a preference. I definitely enjoyed both. I've been through. I mean, I've had pretty much every role there has to be, from starting to closing to setup guy, mid relief, emergency guy, like all of the above. Um, so I wouldn't really say that I have a favorite. I mean, yeah, doing anything I can to help the team win is the most important, I think.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some. Is there any like difference in your routine? Because obviously, as a starter, you get to have all that time pregame, getting loose, stretching. long toss, go to the bullpen, come back, wait in the dugout, and then get going on the field. With the bullpen, you don't know when you're going to pitch, right? It could be, third inning if a guy's getting beat up out there. Could be the sixth inning after a guy goes five. How much different is the routine for you, and how do you kind of try to handle it when you kind of are called upon at a moment's notice?
So the biggest difference I'd say is so I would normally do the same thing pre-game, regardless of what I'm doing that day. So I get all that done and then do my daily throwing to get ready before the game. And then if it's out of the pen, just kind of doing everything you can to stay loose, because obviously you don't know when you're going to go in. So doing maybe in between innings, if you're still in the dugout, jogging down to right field or something. But the biggest thing is just trying to stay loose and not get all tensed up and not stretched out during the game. Because as soon as you get sent out of the pen, it could be any batter where you have to get going. So you kind of have to be cautious about if your body's warm or not, because you obviously don't want to be rushed when you start warming up. So I think the biggest thing is just keeping a good focus on how your body feels.
Yeah. Now, we still have a few weeks to go till the season begins and stuff. And like I said before, I'm sure roles haven't been determined yet, but are you kind of just, with scrimmages and stuff and in the fall too, have you kind of just been working in multiple different roles, coming in as a starter, reliever? What's kind of been the game plan for you so far?
I've been out of the pen mostly. I'm kind of like right now, it's kind of just you got to prove yourself and be the best you can, and then just let the coaches make that decision, not necessarily predetermining the role that you want, because ultimately, you're not always going to get what you want. So, kind of just have to roll with the punches and just be the best pitcher you can be and help the team as much as possible.
No, yeah, definitely. How do you kind of handle, that type of adversity and just keep going? I guess. How do you kind of manage that as a guy that's been around for so long now?
I mean, you you can't take it bad or good. You gotta just accept it how it is. And ultimately, if you're getting to throw in the game, that's all that matters.
No, yeah, definitely. So the season's, like I said, a few weeks away. What are you kind of most excited for about being here at South Carolina, and just what do you think? Just honestly speaking about this year's team, what is the sky the limit for this team? What do you think?
I mean, to win, go to Omaha, obviously. But as a guy that's never really experienced the environment at an SEC game or having that many fans, I'm definitely excited to see that to look up and see 8 to 10,000 fans in the stands. So that's gonna be really cool.
Does it ever feel like you're kind of starting over in a way, because you come from upstate New York, where I'm sure the baseball crowds aren't that big, but now you're, in your fifth season now, and you're pitching in the SEC, and obviously baseball here is it's basically king at that point, right? So is it just how does it feel just to be, in this area, this new spot, and how have you kind of adjusted to it all?
So I think I've gotten that question a lot since I've been here and when I committed. That people always ask me what's the difference, and I always say it's like comparing from going from high school to college and then going from high school again to college. It's like the next step up, because it's going from mid-major to the best conference in the country. So
That is awesome. Now, just another random question for you before we get on out of here. Just a little bit of a rapid fire here. Who is your favorite baseball team professionally growing up?
I'm kind of one of the guys that doesn't really have a team. Um, I've never. My dad's a huge Phillies fan, loves the Phillies, diehard fan. Um, so when he's rooting for him, and if we're watching, if we're at a Phillies game or we're watching a Phillies game, obviously I'm rooting for the Phillies. But I don't know. When it comes down to it, I've never really had a favorite.
I was expecting like Yankees or Mets or something, dude. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's great. I'll ask you another question then. Who were some of your favorite players growing up?
So recently, Spencer Strider's been a big one. He's uh he's got a lot of influence on me for sure. And then this might be controversial, but Trevor Bauer's a big guy that I enjoy watching. Um, he's just super intelligent with everything. Like he knows the body for pitching better than most, and he's got a lot of good information.
No, definitely. Favorite teammate at South Carolina.
Got to be Polk.
What is he like? What is he like working with? Because obviously he's a transfer too.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously he's coming back from TJ, but I mean, he works his butt off 24/7. He's always bringing the high energy, the comedy. He's just a great guy to be around.
Funniest teammate.
Funniest teammate, probably Connor McCurry.
Connor McCurry. Okay. Okay. And then you've been in Columbia for a few months now. What is the best food spot you've been to around here?
Best food spot. Um, I'm a huge Chipotle guy, but
Yeah.
that's um, recently found out about Tokyo Grill, and that's
Okay.
been a go to for sure.
No, that's awesome. Favorite movie.
Favorite movie. Wow, that's a tough question. Um, wow, I don't know.
No.
I don't know if I have an answer for that.
Oh man, what kind of movies do you like watching? Are you like a like an action guy or
I like action. I like sci-fi.
okay?
All right, I'm gonna go with Interstellar. That's it.
Interstellar, Interstellar. Okay, that's a great choice right there. So okay, and then what excites you? What has been your favorite part about being in Columbia so far?
Um, I mean, just the environment at the field. It's just everybody wants to be there. Everybody's striving to get better. Everybody wants to win. I think that is like the biggest thing that has stuck out to me. That like there's a sense of urgency and like everybody wants to get better. It's not like a stagnant like just here to have fun. It's we're here to have fun, but we're here to win.
Yeah, and then just before I let you go, what is NIL and Garnet Trust kind of meant to you during this whole process?
So obviously, it provides a lot of opportunities for student athletes. I mean, I think for me that it definitely helped me out with having the ability to come back to college to be a grad student to get that master's degree and also play baseball for another year.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, Drake, we really appreciate your time here. I certainly do. Looking forward to seeing you on the field this year, man. And former Marist guy, so that's definitely awesome. So yeah, best of luck to you this season, and looking forward to all the good things you do for this team.
Appreciate it for sure.
Nah, man, thank you.
All right, thank you.